This segment is sponsored by the local Edward Jones office of Lee Colvin. The host of the show and Edward Jones have an existing business relationship. This event is not a testimonial of services provided by Edward Jones financial advisor Lee Colvin.
Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. You know, for nearly 90 years, MTE has provided the reliable service and peace of mind that we count on. Manage your account anytime at MTE.com or through the My MTE app. Well, we have the distinct honor of talking with Edward Jones financial advisor Lee Colvin. Lee joins us from hither yon this morning, but for a good reason. I know you're kind of on the road and trying to do business with excitement for the family, so that's a cool thing. Good morning, Lee.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Brian. Yes, it's good to be here out of town celebrating with some family, but it's also wonderful to be able to be here and speaking with you, Brian, about this being International Women's Day coming up, March 8th. So we're going to discuss not only International Women's Day, but unfortunately also focusing on some things that may not always be as easy, and that is thriving after a gray divorce.
Well,
the things that happen in life, whether we like them or not, right?
Right. And, you know, these days that we talk about that pop up, that's one thing, you know. But it is a chance maybe to have, you know, an honest conversation about some of the challenges, and with this being International Women's Day, maybe real life challenges that many women face. And one of those is the growing trend of divorces among those who are ages 50 and older. That's what you referred to as gray divorce. So, you know, that can be a tough time.
It can, but, you know, I do want to take this quick moment here as we get into this conversation and just make sure that all the ladies out there know that we are celebrating them as women, as wives, as mothers, just for all the things that they do that, you know, you and I, in a jokingly way, make fun all the time of, boy, we sure are glad that we're working while our wives were not only working out of the house, but also working in the house, keeping us straight with our kids. So they do a whole lot for us, and this is definitely a time to celebrate all those hardworking ladies out there who are doing so much for our community and for our families, Brian. So
most definitely.
Thank you to them for that.
For sure.
But yeah, as we're discussing this unfortunate trend that's going on, we're finding that ladies are finding themselves in a situation that can feel, for most everyone, overwhelming. It can also be an opportunity to reclaim their independence and create a life that can reflect their dreams and their values.
Well, just let me give you a few statistics. 1/3, about 36%, of divorcing adults are over 50. Now, this is from the Journals of Gerontology back in 2022. 77% of women may experience gray divorce, which is what we're talking about in that 50-plus range, and remain single for 10 years after their divorce. This is really surprising information to me, but many women may view this time, and that's what we want to focus on today, a time for them maybe to focus on their goals, their dreams, their well-being without compromise here. So that's kind of what we want to get them to here this morning with some tips, right?
Certainly. And, you know, Brian, there are financial realities to consider. Women who are older than 50 often experience a 45% drop in their standard of living after divorce compared to 21% for men. And household income can fall by 23% to 40% in the first year, according to the economic consequences of gray divorce for men and women, published in 2020. So building some financial confidence isn't just important, it can also be empowering. And that's why we want to bring this to light today.
Well, so if you are over 50 or 50 or older and recently divorced, Lee is going to give you some tips here. Now, you don't have to do it all at once. Some small steps along the way can help to lead to greater financial security over time. But just some tips, and you've got like 8 tips that we're going to talk about, things from finding a financial advisor to building an emergency fund to estate planning, Social Security. So let's kind of tackle these one at a time and talk about getting a financial advisor, one that has a good ear.
Absolutely. And Brian, while we mentioned a minute ago that all of this can be an overwhelming time for anybody in this situation, we just want to remind the ladies here, take small steps, right? Take small steps, and that can lead you into greater financial security. So as you're working to find a financial advisor who is truly willing to listen, if you've ever felt unheard or dismissed, do not settle. Make sure that your future deserves, or let me state that your future deserves someone who respects your voice. So interview folks, make sure that you feel comfortable with the person on either the other side or the same side of the desk with you, listening to what you had to say, and willing to work with you toward those future goals that you have.
You also need to kind of take some time and sit down and clearly understand your finances, and also maybe with that create a flexible plan here. So a couple of tips on those things.
Absolutely. This is so important, Brian. Listing your assets, your debts, your income, your expenses. All of these things are there to help you understand your financial situation. And the first step is to take control of seeing what you have, understanding where it is, and understanding how it can work for you.
And from that, creating a flexible plan, right?
Definitely. This is going to include your current needs. As you're looking at having a flexible plan and understanding the flexibility there is, it can change on you. It can move around. But this can include your current needs. This will consider your short-term goals and your retirement aspirations. Instead of feeling intimidated, you can take control and you can let a financial advisor help make this simple and manageable for you.
Lee Colvin joining us today. He is an Edward Jones financial advisor. We're looking at, International Women's Day is coming up on March the 8th in just a few days, but we're talking about how for women to thrive after a divorce, and that would be those 50 plus, and we're going through some tips here, and sometimes it may just mean getting better acquainted with terms and knowing what things mean when we talk about money, just learning about money, period, right?
That is so important, Brian, just learning what money can do for you. Being willing to read, being willing to attend workshops, join online communities focused on women and finance. Every bit of knowledge adds confidence. With us at Edward Jones, we have educational pieces on our public website, edwardjones.com, that are all about finance and learning, whether you be a student in school or whether you be a grown adult. they're great resources for everybody to go in, learn, adapt, and be able to learn for yourself so that you can grow your family better financially.
And I will say a lot of these are great tips for just anyone too, by the way. Some of the things that we're talking about and are going to talk about here. And when the fifth out of the 8 points here that we have for you today is building an emergency fund. That is critically important.
That's right. You want to make sure that you're working toward having 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a low-risk liquid account. This may take gradual, consistent contributions, but ultimately this cushion can help provide a sense of security as you navigate your new circumstances.
A lot of times, Lee, we're just checking boxes, first of the year or, in December just to get through things and get that insurance all done and your employer benefits and that kind of thing. But this type of situation that women may find themselves in and that who we're specifically talking to today, but really goes for anybody, reviewing your insurance and maybe some benefits your employer has that you haven't been taking part of, or you have and could change, things like that, right?
Brian, you definitely want to check and make sure that your medical insurance coverage is adequate. Also consider long-term care insurance to help preserve your retirement assets, as well as life insurance as well. Mm-hmm. These are all things that we see that many times are inadequate or not meeting the family's needs, and we need to look at other alternatives as well.
How important is maybe estate planning during this time?
So important. We want to make sure that you're working with a licensed attorney to review beneficiary designations on bank and brokerage accounts while updating your will, your powers of attorney, and as needed, a revocable living trust.
Lee, I want to make sure that we get everyone's attention on this because I think this is one of those that may kind of fall under the radar sometimes, but Social Security.
Brian, something that gets missed often is we want to make sure that you understand that if you were married 10 years or longer, you need to understand your rights to Social Security benefits from your ex-spouse. This can be very important. Now, this is, it can go deep. So that's where you want to talk to Social Security and ask that question. But understand the rights of Social Security benefits from your ex-spouse if you were married 10 years or longer. And that is true on both sides. Women looking at their ex-spouses of the men looking at the ex-spouses of the women. Both sides want to look at and consider that.
Lee, rather than, divorce kind of signals an end, but in looking at it in a different way, instead of it being an end, maybe it's a new chapter, and financial freedom as part of that new chapter is what we're trying to bang home here today in this interview.
Brian, we want to let everyone locally, domestically, internationally, here on International Women's Day and International, I know it's Women's Month. We want every woman to know that they can celebrate their resilience and your future potential. The future is yours to shape, and it can be as bold, as bright, and as fulfilling as you want it to be.
Well, the very first thing that we talked about in this, Lee, is finding a financial advisor that listens. And I know you know me. I know you. Is that a song from Sesame Street? Anyway, as critical as that is, that first step may be making that first phone call. And I know you or any of the Edward Jones financial advisors here in the area would be willing to talk with anyone out there listening right now.
Brian, we always want to help our local community and those in need. anybody who is in this situation, in this position of their life, and they're ready to start transitioning and start planning for themselves or making some changes, please feel free to give us a call. You can reach out to my office at 615-907-7056. Again, that's 615-907-7056. If you don't have an advisor, we'd be more than happy to help hear what your needs are, hear where you're located, see what we can do to help, and get you with the right Edward Jones advisor locally.
That's Lee Colvin joining us today here on Rutherford Issues. For Lee Colvin, I'm Brian Barrett. Until next time, take care out there.